My name is Rina Claire. I'm an art psychotherapist. I love talking about art therapy. I'm so passionate about art therapy. But there's this black wasp, I want to swat it because it's making me feel nervous. Anyway, to talk about art therapy, I have to show you pictures. So art psychotherapy is a psychological therapy, okay? And we use art as its mode and medium of communication. So every single session, whatever age, whatever ability, you're using art. And it doesn't mean that you need to be an artist to engage in art therapy at all. And you'll see in the works. Sometimes the client is painting or drawing or making a sculpture. And sometimes I am drawing or painting or making a sculpture for the client. And sometimes we're doing a collaborative work. Okay? And for clients, for ANGSANAcare, it's usually the sick children in hospital. And some of them have long-term conditions, so ill forever. And some of them have dire illnesses, and they're learning to, or the focus of their care is quality of life. So we don't want to say that the hospital is preparing them for death. That used to be the old meaning of palliative care. We were saying, what's the best quality of life? What can we do now for you at this moment, for your needs right now? But ANGSANAcare also encourages us to work with the parents, which we do. And when you work with the parents, you're taking care of the child. You really, really are. So, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to show you some images. I want to talk about a situation that happened very recently in the hospital. There was this young boy, he's 9 years old, and he has cancer, and his hands are blackened because they've been putting the tubes, they've been putting the cannula in. So there's so many holes, and you can see so many marks, and the hands, you can actually see at the joints it's blackened. And now they can't find a good vein in his arms, so they have to put it through his foot. And the doctor, there's a young doctor who comes into the room, and she's trying to prepare him. She puts all her items around, and she says, "We need to change your cannula. Your leg is swelling, so we need to put it on your other leg." And the boy struggles and screams, and the senior doctor comes in. He struggles, he screams, and I want to just tell you what are the words he says. A loose translation is, "It's painful, it's painful. I hate this. You lied to me. I hate you. Stupid doctor, stupid doctor." And then it turns, and then he says, "I am an idiot." Idiot, which in the Malay word is bahlul. "I am a boy of Satan. I'm in pain. You lied to me. Why did I let you talk to me like this? Why did I let you trick me?" And he's screaming and screaming and screaming. And so and we were all in the room. I was in the room, I was in a different bed. But I think it really brings home what a child goes through. Because not only does he have to go through treatments, there are treatments determined by others, the adults in the room, and he has very little choice and a lot of fear. And sometimes the best way for the hospital is to not allow the slow process of deciding and agreeing, but just giving him those treatments. But if you just observe his conversation, his screams, from shouting at the doctor, he starts shouting at himself and hating himself. So here we are in the situation. Now, just before he had this session, we had an art therapy session. Just before, I'm saying minutes before, okay? And when he was drawing with me, we opened the scene. It's my first engagement, so I say, "What do you want to draw?" "Anything." And he imagines and imagines, and he says he wants to draw a bungalow house. So he looks for a picture of a house he likes, and he starts building it and says what he wants in this bungalow house. And you know, he draws it, but he's too tired to sit and draw at me, and finally he lies down, I carry on the drawing, and it's done. Now so this happened just minutes before this, you know, very traumatic treatment procedure. And so now the doctor leaves, and it's a little bit calmer, and I'm on the other bed. And you know, we've done the drawing, it's on the wall. And what I hear him ask his mother, because his mother had to hold him down for the doctor to do her procedure. And what I hear him ask his mother is, do you hate me? I know you're angry with me. Do you hate me? And this is a 9-year-old boy. And he has had lots of wounds, so you know this is not his first stint in hospital. And this is where his mind and his emotions are at. Anyway, you know, it's a first engagement in art therapy. We're not here to work instant miracles. Miracles, yes, but not instant. And you can't do more than that. You know, he's in a traumatic state. And for me to go in there and change everything. But we did have a moment of bliss. We did share a paradise on paper. And you know, he was just obsessing about this idea of, you know, whether the doctor hated him or the mother hated him or people are angry with him. So after my session on the bed across, I went to his space, I plucked out the paper from the wall, and I said, you know, hey, do you remember what we drew just now? I don't think you looked at the drawing properly. And I gave him his paper. And he, you know, the smile, as if you've just transported him into a different world. He was just immersed in his drawing. He forgot everything that happened minutes before. And you know, the pain, you know, the throbbing will still be there. And he forgot everything and was just looking at this image and just enjoying it. And it also gave time for the mom who, I mean, can you imagine what she must have felt? But it also gave her time to cool down and, you know, reinstate herself. Okay. And we have all kind of drawings from all kind of ages, you know. This is a girl who chose to draw this image a day before her birthday. She wasn't allowed to go home, and you know, she was very sad. She had to celebrate her birthday in hospital, and the whole family had rallied to celebrate the birthday in the hospital. So cakes and, you know, guests, and they had booked out a little space in the garden. And then the day before her birthday, the doctor says, you're allowed to go home for the day, but you must come back every night because we're doing your treatments overnight, so you're allowed to go home for the day. And she gets so excited, and she wants to celebrate her birthday at home, of course. But everything has been made. Family have been coming from far. All the preparations are made.
How old?
She was 14. Everything has been made, all the preparations have been made, and so the doctor and the mother were convincing her to stay in hospital for her birthday. And you know, I think that really describes how, you know, their reality, it changes every time. Anything that they're sure of can be yanked out of them and can be given back to them at any moment, you know. And it was a very interesting, you know, session that I had with her. You know, a lot of her bringing out her personality, you know, not about dreams, not about elsewhere, but my identity, you know, and my choice. Okay, are we ready for some spitting? So I was referred this client in the neuro ward, okay? And this girl, I mean, she's, you know, quite a characterful person. She talks and she engages with you, but she's quite ill. And you know, her parents are there with her, and she's in this corner of the room.
Age?
She's 9 years old, and so she and her body, her back was weak, and I knew she couldn't hold pencils or brushes, and yet, you know, she's older, so I can't really do a simple art piece, you know. I can't patronize her like that. The end piece needed to be good enough for that session because you know, a lot of ability has been lost in that little family. So I decided to do this art piece where we used a straw and blew paint across to make the wings. I don't know if you can see that. And you know, this is a very good space where the parents and the therapists have to, hold our own, manage our anxiety, because, we feel a lot of things. But this girl, she was struggling to sit up, but she wanted to. And every time she blew, there would be saliva, and she couldn't really blow, and we needed to, do all kinds of things. We needed to cut the straw shorter so that the gust of air would be better. We needed to bring the table higher, and we did all kinds of things. We could have, however, because the therapeutic value here is not in the amazing art piece that she did, am I right?
Yeah.
But the therapeutic value here was we didn't give up. She wanted to do it, and we put every effort to make it happen. And you can do it in art. You really, really can, because there's so many possibilities, so many creative solutions. Okay, from spitting to biting. So, I'm referred this kid, and I look at them. He's 7 years old, and I look at the referral letter, and we've got anger issues, not happy to deal with the doctors and things like that. And then I'm sitting. I know he's the next client, so I'm sitting in the room, and I'm doing an art therapy session with someone else, and I hear the mother come into the room and mention to people in her ward, he's not a bad boy, but he got so angry, and when he bit me, it bled, and that's why they got so worried. Sometimes the biting and the violence and the anger is the disease, it's the illness, and that's what parents have to understand as well, but also manage. So I have a biter, I'm going to see next. He just bit his mother till she bled in the treatment room. And so he's sitting on his bed, and he is a real, touch me not, and everyone around, even his mom, everyone's worried, everyone's scared. I'm scared, I'm scared. But I take my time, I observe him, and you kind of have an instinct of where you're at, and you also need to, as therapists, you need to gauge, you need to do a few steps and processes to prod and see where this client is at. And so I approach the table with my tray of, I call them bribes. I tell the parent, tray of bribes. My pens and my colors and my water, and I show him the color pencils because he needs to see that, because the scary adult is approaching the bed. And I can hear the room quiet around me. Everyone's worried because they know he's been angry, but now he's gotten violent. And I ask him, do you want to draw? And he doesn't look at me. And then, I take hold of the situation. I raise my voice. I show some joy in my expression. And I say, hey, look, I've got a lot of pencils here. We can do some drawing together. And he looks at the colors, and he looks at he's excited, he's curious, but he knows that he is a monster in the room. He knows that. He knows he's a monster in the room. He knows people are afraid. And then I say, hey, look, let me draw something, and then you color it. Okay. I mean, it takes experience, but to know that I needed to go and go and go again. Otherwise, it's a missed opportunity. And then in the room, let me tell you about how our one session changed the room, because now I'm dealing with this boy, I'm putting my colors out, he's interacting with me, we're imagining things, he likes dinosaurs, and he was enjoying choosing the pictures, and we were thinking about where to place it, how big. But this monster becomes humanized in the room, where everyone is afraid of him. Not only the other parents, but the other children who are his friends. His friends in other beds who he would talk to, who've quietened down and who are taking a step back. Slowly they see the human side of this boy, and he's calming down, but so is the room. And slowly you can hear shouts from the other beds, oh, that's so nice, oh, you're coloring, oh, what are you drawing? And you hear that interaction, and it helped. That was a session for the room. Unintended, but it was a session for the room. So you can see, I've got another picture of him using his colors. And eventually what we did was some parents, I'm always advising parents, bring a little art bag, because when you're called to the hospital unexpectedly, so have a small art bag ready. And his his mom brought some colors. So we were trying to, from my art materials, slowly using his art materials to show him what he could achieve. Okay, another biter. But this time I didn't know she was a biter. This girl, she was about 8 plus 9. And it was the early days of her treatment. And the doctor had just been explaining to her father, the anger is the illness. And you need to understand that. And her father wanted to give her some medication to calm down because she isn't used to the hospital setting. And I saw her, grab at him and bite his hand. She didn't hurt him, but it's a difficult thing to see. And then you need to trust and keep that calm. The dad's in distress, and you're one person there that can navigate this. But as she calmed down, and as we were focusing on the image and talking about where these magical horses come from, she started talking. She started talking about look at, okay, abstract art and all, this isn't the prettiest, I'll say that, and it isn't, but she started talking about the colors, and she started, doodling, and when her dad asked her, oh, what are you doing? Oh, why are you going out of the line? And she said, no, this is how it is, this is the yellow, this is the pink, and she was enjoying that, ownership of the picture. And the dad immediately, I tell you, it's so exciting. When the parents see a very new side to the sick child, they're quickly grabbing their phones. And we have a nice consent form for when we take photos of them. But can I tell you, I'm sure Sheen, me and Miriam are celebrities in the hospital because we are on everybody's video camera and everybody's, photo gallery. But, they enjoy taking that picture of seeing their child in a new light. And this was one such parent, and, just see the change of dynamics. So, all this time we're talking about engaging with the child, going there, encouraging them, even if the first answer is no or probably no. So let's look at a child that you shouldn't engage with. So this boy, he's 15 years old, and he had been recently diagnosed with cancer. And his time of the treatment, he's feeling a lot of pains and aches in his joints, and he wants to sleep. Okay, so he's not ready to deal with anything or anyone. The mom, however, this bubbly, cheerful, talkative, lovely woman. She's at everyone else's bed except her own. She's and she's so engaging. Now she's not in a great place because she feels that if my son is doing well, he needs to be engaging in art therapy and drawing and talking, looking at the TV, meeting visitors who come into the hospital. And she's really, really, worried that he's not doing well. But he's ill and he's sick and he needs to rest. And you could notice, that we have to contain our own anxiety, and we have to teach parents to do that too. If you're worried about something, then realize it's your issue, not the kid's issue. So anyway, through this is my second piece of drawing with her. But the first time we drew an emblem of the football team that they supported, and I was writing Jawi for the first time. And it was a very interesting engagement with the family. But you could see, the mom wanting to make it a session, even though her son was, in the bed and not keen. And then she was apologizing for him, which is, it's sad to see. But that's where they are, and that's what they can manage. And this is our second session. And I suggested, I'm going to draw this. I've never spoken to the son. Every day he's under the covers, not engaging with anyone. I suggested I'll draw this, and I said, let's, let me draw this, and you just give it to him later. Don't worry about him not engaging. But over time, I got to talk to the mom, and I also got to talk to her about, hey, sometimes he needs to rest. And do you know what she replied to me? Yeah, the doctors told me the same thing. But it's difficult. It's difficult, for them to think about that. Okay. So we also had a kid who had a liver transplant, and he was supposed to remember his medication, and the doctor told me that, you know, if we can work something out with him. He's quite old. He's 15, and you know, they gave him this chart on top. I don't know if you can see it, but this chart has, you know, cute little pills in cartoon format for a 15-year-old. It's good, but he's not interested in his treatment. He knows that the liver transplant didn't go too well. You know, he's disengaged. So we worked together on drawing superheroes from the Marvel comics. I suppose that would have helped him with it. And anyway, at least from the doctors and nurses, I got a good feedback about him and this chart.
You want to explain that chart?
Oh, so the chart is, so according to the colors, so these are the pictures of the medication, and the doctors have drawn these little cartoons of the shapes and colors that coordinate with each medication. So I've transformed that into superheroes. So each one has, you know, similar colors, and we've got all the, you know, the labels at the bottom. So, you know, he gets up in the morning and says, "Today I'm going to eat Captain America." Okay. Okay, how much time do I have here?
It's okay.
Okay. Okay, so 18-year-old, no, 17-year-old. So this will be his 18th year. It will mean that it's the last year he's treatable in the pediatric unit. Cerebral palsy, doesn't move, shakes a little, looks a little, you know. But what we have is a mom who's very distressed, and she's a single mother, and you know, she's going through a lot of things in that hospital and in that ward. And every time I'm at a bed, she's coming to look at what I'm drawing. And you know, some children, they'll shout at you from the other end of the room, you know, can I go after this? You know, can I be the next? And that's wonderful to have a self-referral. You know, it is, because, you know, doctors can refer, but if a child is empowered to refer themselves, it's wonderful, and we're doing great stuff. But mothers and fathers never think that we are there for them, and never, ever refer themselves. But how does this lady come? Like a moth. She comes to my bed, she looks at the picture, a bit of comments, leaves, and then, you know, I'm in the next bed, she comes, look at the picture, comments a little bit and leave, and you know, okay, you've already self-referred, you know, you've already self-referred. So, you know, when I'm in a good place, when I see that at least the imminent needs of the clients are met and I have time, so I went to her room, and she was talking about her difficulties as a single mother. You know, when a child was born, her husband, you know, made it very difficult in that divorce proceedings. And I mean, she's got a lot of gumption. She said, you know, you want to make it difficult, no problem, but you take this child and look after him. And then I think she got what she needed from her divorce. And she's very industrious, but it's so difficult because, you know, she's the breadwinner of the family, and then her child is sick. And there's a lot of things that she's losing because her child is going to turn 18. And she's been told after that, you go to the adult wards, you know. And so a lot of things that you're familiar with, from the day he was born are changing. And he's not doing much better. And so, you know, we talked to each other, and, you know, we imagined a place where you feel at peace, a place where you're not disturbed. And can I say that there is a theme of mothers drawing sceneries of the ocean or sunsets by the sea. I mean, later, you know, over dinner you can look at some of the works, but there are lots of these sceneries where mothers always gravitate to. And there's some kind of tendency, but here, you know, for her, we drew something with a bit of waves, and you know, she didn't see a calm sea. So this is her piece. Now, so 9 months of waiting for your child to die, or waiting for the day to come. But there is a boy, a boy who is now 6 years old, but he was told by his mother, was told that he will only have 6 months to live from the day he was born. 6 months. He has been in the hospital for 5.5 years. Can you imagine? You know, he's always in one corner of that ward. He doesn't move because his cot has been given by the hospital, and he has decorated it with every kind of sticker you can imagine. He was told, I think when he was about 5, he was told, or the parents were told, that he has special needs and he cannot learn as well. Now, when I first came, when I was the hot new thing in the ward, you know, he would sit and engage, draw and color. It was wonderful. Our sessions would be, you know, me and him. It's now moved, it's now progressed. The mum asks me to come, says, please come even when he's asleep, because I want to do some drawing with you. And I want to get some ideas of what to do with my son, because, you know, some art activities, because they live in the hospital. And he, when he sees me in the ward, I have to see him, because he will shout, he will scream. He's connected to a mask, but he will jump out of his cot and run without his mask. You know, this is a boy who's been in critical conditions every other month, and he will run to look for you, and he wants that engagement. When I'm there, he plays with my stuff. He doesn't concentrate on my work, but it's important for me to meet him. You know, so now the framework of therapy changes. I don't have to make a pretty picture with him. That's not important, but it's important for me to come and engage and play. So, you know, over time, I eventually, you know, brought some clay, and, you know, we made some animals, and, you know, we tried to do some messy things which he was engaging with, and it was very sweet, because we made a birthday cake, a burger, some, you know, a cat, an elephant, sausages. He was cutting things and feeding these animals. It was so lovely for the mom to see. It was a video moment for her. And in one of the sessions, he led the session. So he did, you know, it wasn't me bringing something, but he led the session. He drew, or he asked me to draw around his hand, and then he asked me to draw around my hand. And I thought this was a lovely, this is a precious picture of a 6-year-old expressing in the best ability he can, you know, that he appreciates the session. So, okay, let me end with a final image, okay? Agent Ali, it's a superhero. This kid, we were talking, he was in hospital for 2 years in and out, but he only found out that he had an illness, or his kidneys were failing, just the day before I met him. So a big shock, and he's in the hospital alone, whatever reasons, you know, his parents couldn't be there, but he's in the hospital alone. So big news, and you know, it makes you wonder, where are you when you're in hospital, in and out for 2 years, and you never questioned it, and you never thought you had an illness? Anyway, we started drawing a superhero, a simple piece of art. But in our conversations, he told me that it was difficult for him to make friends. And we were talking about how we can start conversations, how to feel comfortable around other people. And you know, before I know it, you know, the boy with the superhero set of medications. Before I know it, the next week he's sitting there with that boy, and they are giggling, and we're having a wonderful art therapy session together. And so sometimes even that social benefit is something we should look at. So that's a little bit of my insight to art therapy.